I would say really growth only happens with challenges.
Yeah.
When everything's going smoothly, nobody
Right.
grows. Life is not going to go smoothly. It's okay to fall down in middle school and pick yourself up because this is part of growing.
Welcome to Three Little Fishes. We're three sisters who grew up in the Midwest together, but have since spread across the country. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm in Nashville.
And I live in Philadelphia. We are all married with children. We've all had careers, but now we stay at home with our families.
We've all been through ups and downs that come along with life and have always helped each other through, shared stories, and laughed together.
We welcome all of you into our daily conversations and hope you have some fun with us.
So let's jump in.
Hi, girls. Good to see you. We are the Three Little Fishes, and we are loving that you've come to join and jump in with us today. Please continue to like, comment, and follow at our YouTube channel or wherever you're getting your pods. Today, we are going to just jump into what's happening. And for me, what's happening is my kids started back to school, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Ladies, I'm just going to just jump in and tell you what's happened here. My son, who is a sophomore in high school, Riley, so he is obsessed with his hair right now. He's unhappy with it. He's happy with it. Anyway, we're getting ready to go back to school. He's like, Mom, I'm having an emergency. I need to get my hair cut. Okay, fine. Fine, we'll get your hair cut. Mm-hmm. I'm not involved. I'm just the Uber driver. I just take him to get his hair cut. So he goes and he gets his hair cut, and he gets back in the car. He's like, ugh, I don't know. I don't know what I think of this. I think it's too short. Ugh, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so I'm not saying a lot. I not saying a lot. He doesn't want my input. So this was like a week and a half ago because he didn't want it super fresh for school that started this past week.
Right.
So last night I take him to club soccer practice. And after practice, I'm waiting in the parking lot longer than usual. And I'm seeing some of his teammates trickle out to the parking lot. No Riley yet. And then I do a double take because I'm like, is that Riley? And as this boy is coming to my car, his hair is shaved with clunks of hair still like hanging out and buzzed, but like not buzzed. That looks
clean. There's a design to it.
No. So he kind of looks like a crazy person. So and whatever, it's your hair. You get to do what you want. But so we get home and we're like, Tim, Riley needs your help. So he has clippers. So they go in the garage and light it up the best they can. And Tim tries to even out this buzz cut so he doesn't have clops of hair. And I mean, there are no words. So now this child is completely buzzed. So I just want to refresh you. So a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I took him to get his hair cut. Didn't know if he liked it because it was too short. But yesterday after
practice, it's really short.
He came home with a crazy buzz that had to be even buzzed more. I mean,
so that was the soccer kids, like was it a bet or is that like just
did he lose
passage?
A bet? No, I don't believe there was a bet involved. I think he just wanted a clean, he didn't think he liked his original haircut. And I think he was just like, dudes, I don't like my haircut.
He took a razor to the soccer practice?
In their soccer bag. Nobody carries clippers in their soccer bag.
I think that he must have worked this out ahead of time and talked to one of his buddies. And he was like, I'll bring clippers. I have clippers. I'll fix you up.
Oh, that is funny. My son Trevor last year for golf, he was a caddy for my son, and there was like a big like team golf thing that they all like would shave their heads, and so he came home one night and he was bald, and I was like, oh my gosh, you look You look, I mean, it kind of is alarming when you first look at them because you're like,
Yes.
what happened to your cute face?
Right.
Like,
and they're worried about it because they didn't confess in advance. He was worried about it. He was worried about your reaction. The good news is hair grows. So of all the things that he could do, this is the least egregious.
Listen, 100%. And it's your head. It's your hair. You get to, relatively do what you want. But that, I mean, yes, I just thought how it came full circle, like, Mom, I got to get a haircut, but it can't be too fresh before school.
Right.
Then I get in the car and then it's too short. And then yesterday, fast forward to a buzz that went wrong that needed to be cleaned up.
You know, boys at this age are completely about their hair. I mean, my son as well as a sophomore, and he got his hair just cut the other day as a fresh cut. I didn't even think it really even needed it, but he had to get the front just right. And then he shaved the back. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. You do.
He's like, Mom, the flow has to look really good.
Right. The flow.
It's important.
They're all about the flow. Our son is a hockey player, and the flow is very important because you have to have some curls that come out of the helmet. And then you got to be able to shake your head.
I know.
When you're all sweaty and you get off the ice.
I don't really get the shaking of the head either.
They shake their head and he shakes his head so all the curls land in the right spot. It's weird. It's super weird. High school is so weird.
I think it's weird too.
Well, it'll grow or he'll keep it short. I mean, it's easier.
Yeah, I will say when my son shaved his head, we didn't have to do a haircut for an entire almost year.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because haircuts for boys are expensive.
Yeah.
So today, I will say, like, I've been in school for 2 weeks now, and it's like clipping along. We're doing all the things. Our son has been on time every day except day one, which has been absolutely dreamy. I'm so happy about it. I mean, we had a conversation about like expectations for the year because he is our kid that will push the boundaries as much as he can. He's a good kid, but he just will push the boundaries. And so I sat down with him the other day and I was like, listen, I'm not paying. This is a practice run this year for college. Like, you need to show up. You need to be on time. You got to do all the things and show me you can do it because I'm not paying a gazillion dollars to have you go off to school and not show up. So prove to me you can do it. And he was like, Mom, I'm ready. I can do it. And he has. So it got me thinking about like, Nancy, you still have an elementary school kid and then middle school and then high school. It's like your last push. High school is for before they kind of fly the nest and do their next phase where you're not involved anymore. And it's so crazy. Like, I remember back in the day, I used to take those kids back to school shopping, and it was such a big deal to get like all the school supplies. And I remember one year I was madder than a wet hen because our oldest, because our kids are like a year apart, all of them. Our oldest was like in first or second grade, and we got all the school supplies. We picked out all the cute little things in the little bag and blah, blah, blah. And she came home after school that day crying. She was like, Mom, they took my new crayons out of the box and dumped them in this big, huge bin for everybody to use. I don't know where my crayons are. They're all mixed up with everybody's crayons, and I can't find them. And it was such a thing for her. And I actually was kind of mad about it because I was like, so I sent a message and she was like, the teacher was like, this is something we're trying this year because some kids don't have school supplies and they run out and some kids break them and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I was like, well, that sucks because, but it was really, the experiment was 1 year. So
I will say that the school supply thing is real. Like, I have a fourth grader and she needed all these supplies. And it's like, it's expensive. Like, it's a small
It's
little
really
fortune.
expensive.
And what I thought about was, when I was doing it, I can do it, and we were able to do this for her. But how do people who don't have the means have their kids show up with supplies? That's what I thought about. Like, I was just like, it's a lot that they need. And then Riley needs stuff too for school. I wonder how people who have minimal means do it. And I think I'm specifically thinking about it recently because, you know, we're in California, and particularly we're in TV and production, and it's been very slow. I know a lot of people who have like, it's been a really rough year for the movie and TV business. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. Those extra.
Well, back in the day, I think we used to have a fundraiser for school where you would buy the school supply kit, and this box would just like magically show up, and all you had to do was unpack it. And I thought that was amazing. And now in high school, our senior, he didn't need anything except a folder. He's like, Mom, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
I don't need anything. I'm set. Just get me some folders. So then I was like, okay. I looked up online. I said, why don't you pick something? He's like, no, just get me some. And I said, okay, here are the folders that I'm going to get you. He's like, no, those are bad. Okay, so you got the folders. So then I ordered folders. They had to be colored.
Yeah.
All the things. So I was like, yeah.
I mean, if that tracks, that would be Riley. I mean, I actually tried to pick him up a couple pair of track pants, which I feel like are very benign. And he's like, no, I will not wear these. Like, how dumb are you that you think I'm going to wear these? You're so cute. Thank you, but take them back. You know, talking about like being in California and like first days of school, it made me think of when Riley went to kindergarten. His kindergarten teacher, if you could have cast that role, this teacher as a kindergartner role, it would have like, she had this big piano in her classroom. She was singing songs. Like it was like this magical room. It was amazing. And like fast forward to Johanna's like TK kindergarten experience, which was a different teacher and was the complete opposite. It was just, but anyway, she was amazing. That was just thinking about like California and casting. Like she was Mrs. Frazier.
She was the perfect kindergarten teacher.
She was Mrs. Frazier. She was amazing.
Oh, that's cute. I don't know. So Nancy, like getting your elementary school child out the door, and then soon you'll be in middle school, which is a whole nother animal of nightmarish things on so many levels. Like, did you do anything special for her?
We do a little back to school shopping where they can pick out a few outfits. She definitely she cares about what she wears.
Yeah.
So she got a few little outfits, and then she was a part of picking out some of her supplies. Yeah. And then our first day of school, I do it for everybody. Riley and Johanna started school at the same time, and I do a big pancake breakfast before I send them off to school. So like, my fourth grader is super excited to still go to school, which makes me happy, was joyful and ready to go. And Riley was not cranky, but he was not joyful heading out the door. Yeah. But it was all pretty good. And Kathy,
your kids, we used to do that too. Remember, you guys, Nancy, you're 8 years younger than me, but do you remember doing back to school shopping with Mom? It was so funny. Like, I don't know where we were going, but we always picked out like a couple of things for school, like clothing, first outfits for school. And then we would go and buy all the supplies. And then we end up downtown Peoria, Illinois, and at the Sears. And Sears back then had this like candy counter, and Mom would get us a treat of double dipped chocolate covered peanuts. Remember those?
Yes, like, I remember that.
Treat. And I'm sure awesome. It was a treat for her because it was like shopping with 4 kids. What a nightmare. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really shop with all of mine together like she did. But yeah, that's a core memory.
Well, I feel like I'm on a different wave here because I live on the East Coast and we don't start school till after Labor Day. So I still am kind of enjoying the last couple weeks of summer, but it hasn't been that fun because I've had to get my college kid back. He's got to go back. So I've been doing a lot of shopping for him, which is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Getting him to shop.
I wonder who else that sounds like. I don't know, Kathy.
Well, we've talked about this before. I think Grayson is worse than me. But him making a decision about things is just ridiculous. But then when he does find something he kind of likes, then you can't get him out of the store. It's like...
Right. And then he has to decide, like, what color do I want?
I had that a little experience with him this summer. Like, we were in the store and it was just like, I think it was just souvenir shopping. And I literally was like, I am begging you to make a choice. I'm begging you to walk out of the store. Please.
I know. So yeah, I mean, I've been dealing with him, but now he has left, which was kind of sad, I have to say.
Yeah.
People don't tell you. It's like, I thought, when he first left for his freshman year, obviously that was super sad, but I was sad for him to even leave the other day. So I guess it doesn't go away. But
I will tell you, like, I remember I would drop my kids off every year, and because we didn't have a bus system where we lived, and every year I would watch their little bodies walk away from me, and I would get like sad every single year. And the only thing I had to look forward to was like getting together for breakfast or lunch with all my girlfriends that first day of school. And we would usually drink booze and like,
I
talk about the summer and have fun and try and like make ourselves happier with the fact that the kids are gone now. Cause I loved having them home for summer. I never wanted summer to end, and they would just walk off and not even look back.
Yeah.
Well, I think that everyone feels that way because summer is so fun and you think, oh, I have all this time to do stuff, see people, like have all these great experiences and adventures. And then it goes by in like an instant, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then you have to regroup, and then you're like, oh, now you're back to like the same old,
yucky regimen.
Mundane.
Well, and I would say to all the young parents listening, like, enjoy it. Because as they get older, they spend less and less time with you.
Yeah.
And they become more assholes. Like, they don't want to spend time with you. And I think it's God's way of saying it's time for them to leave the nest, because they become beastly. And you're just like, go. But then they drive off and you're like, oh, I want the beast back.
Oh.
I hope it's a phase too. They'll come back eventually and be nice. But yeah, the whole summer, thing is so fun. And then it's like now back to school again. And you have to re-gear up. I feel like I do,
Yeah, I do too, for sure.
Well, and it's all the things, right? Like, it's different. Like fourth grade seems to be like a bigger deal. Like she's getting older now. And the fourth grade seems to be things are going to go faster. They expect more.
So fourth grade's a big deal.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, I think I still have anxiety just in general about my own like childhood of like school, because I was a dyslexic that was undiagnosed until I was a freshman in high school, which is
that's crazy,
kind of ridiculous. But it like has scarred me, and school was super hard for me. And I think that I just like have so when they're getting ready to go back to school, especially for Johanna, because she's younger and she actively still needs my support with school more so than Riley ever did. I'm just like, oh, here we go. And I have to be really careful not to project my own stuff on to Johanna and like keep that in a box, like on a shelf somewhere. And I find it to be very challenging. So I'm like giving myself these like pep talks, like, this is her own experience. This is not your experience. She's going to be great. She's doing wonderful. She's, all the things. So that's what I'm doing for myself. So I think she's fine and ready to go. And it's me that has to like kind of control my own stuff.
I think that's everybody though. We all have baggage from school. I mean, your late elementary school years really roll into those middle school years, and middle school is terrible. I mean, I don't care how popular or smart or anything you are, there's a dust up about something. Somebody says something mean or does something, or everybody kind of has like a core memory of, somebody doing something. And so I think it is hard to kind of prep yourself. Like, you got to get your mind right as a parent. Like, this is not the end of the world. They're going to get through this. Right. We all go through it. It's going to be fine.
Right.
Not everybody's nice all the time. Not everybody's your best friend all the time. Right. And, the thing I think all of you guys do, and I do too, is like, we're always your excuse. We're always your way out. Just let us know. Like, you don't want to do this, don't do it.
Sure. Yes.
So it's totally, that's part of the process. And then it gets them ready for the big time, which is high school. High school is big time. I mean, that's like your last stomping ground before college. And
I could even tell, like, my high schooler is getting, I don't know if nervous is the right word, but I can definitely tell his emotions are increased and he is anxious, which makes me anxious. I mean, I think there's like a whole emotional roller coaster with not only the parents, but the kids. And it's like, I think everybody needs to just take a deep breath. And I think, like you said, Linda, like, I think getting together with like some friends when school starts is a good way to just kind of bond with each other and talk about like things and give yourself a break because, you need it too. Right.
Right.
And then in high school, I feel like there's so many emotions during the day for these kids. I feel like I have to emotionally get ready myself, like during the day, because when they come home, like we have to play sports after school. But when they come home at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, I mean, it's like you have to be on, like figuring out like, how did their day go? What are they like when they walk in the door? I mean, there's a lot of things that happen that they don't want to talk about that you can kind of just gauge by, how they are. So you have to be like emotionally strong and ready to handle that.
I agree 100%. And I feel like it starts in middle school, and especially nowadays with the phones. Like, this is a whole nother program, but like, I think with the phones, they can intercommunicate intraday so much, and so much happens during the day from middle school on through high school, and getting them ready for that. Like, we had like a thing in our middle school back in the day where, I mean, this is a long time ago, where some girl sent a picture of her body parts over text to somebody, and it was a huge deal, of course. First of all, this is like child pornography, basically. You're underage.
Oh yeah, that's like a no-no.
Idea what you're doing to your reputation, to yourself. Like, don't objectify yourself to make friends or have a boyfriend or whatever, and don't ask for that stuff. So like, having to learn all those boundaries, and having to learn in 7th grade is crazy, but it's good because then you kind of hope that it carries on. And then, high school is all about like breaking free from the family unit and centering more around the friends, but then you got to pick the good friends. And then of course, every high schooler experiments with stuff, drinking or driving too fast or staying up too late or breaking curfew or showing up late, or now vaping is such a thing. I mean, I do not understand how society has accepted this, but somehow it has. And that's a whole thing kids have to navigate. So it's not just academics. It's like all this emotional and physical growing that is huge. It has a huge impact on their futures, and they're dumb. They don't realize it. So you're constantly like, do you know what you're doing to yourself?
Well, it's you're impulsive, right? You're also, you're trying to figure it out, and you can be impulsive, and you just hope that one moment of impulsivity isn't a game changer, right? I mean, we're all guilty of being impulsive. We just don't want to do anything catastrophic. And it's or like, as you are right. Like, these phones, everybody has a camera. Like, it just you don't want somebody filming you and you not knowing it or doing something that it's
I do think schools have gotten better about it now that it's such a normal thing. Like they'll put the phones at the table or, there's no phones in locker rooms here, which I appreciate and all that stuff. But like, I think for anybody listening as a parent, not necessarily lecturing, but very open communication and very direct communication with your middle schooler or your high schooler and setting expectations and boundaries and safety nets and putting them in place and then like constantly reinforcing them is critical for their development. Like they have to hear it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, our dad, who is a very straight-laced human being, would be very direct about dating and expectations and boundaries. And he was really a girl dad. And as unfair as it is, putting some of the responsibility on just say no, walk away, trust your instincts,
Right.
Don't put yourself in a position that is going to be uncomfortable for you physically, emotionally, and he would say it all the time. And so I do think that kind of saturates your decision making, I think, as a teen or young adult.
Yeah, the social media piece is
I'm exhausted
huge.
by it. Like I am exhausted by the constant repetition that goes on in our house. And I think because we're at our last child, senior year, and we have boys here all the time, and he's my only boy. And I sometimes look at these boys around my island like, you are dummies. What's happening?
What do you say? What do you say every time they walk out the door? You say, "We don't take
life. Don't take life." Every time.
Right.
Yes, Mrs. Schultz. Look at me. Hear me.
I like that too. I like being direct too. I think it's
boys can't decode.
Sometimes they just get it. Like, be safe, don't die. Like, drive safely.
Drive safely. It doesn't matter if you get there 5 minutes earlier. Mom, you don't know what you're saying.
I was thinking about elementary, middle school, because we moved here to the East Coast when my oldest was in 4th grade. So that's a huge time in his life, right? He was leaving a place that he was comfortable in and he didn't want to move here. And it was like the first day that I had to pick them up at school. And the way the school is, they have like a one-way in.
Yeah, the one-way in, one-way out.
One way out.
Yeah.
So it's like those movies where people are, you're doing it wrong, if you get out of line.
I always hated it when the crossing guard would come up and be like, we need you to move forward.
Yeah. Well, this is how it is. It's like a 2-lane road and there's nowhere to go. Yeah. So you can't get out of line. You have to stay in your lane. Well, my Suburban, I don't know what happened. I had shut it off because they didn't want you to run your cars for pollution or whatever. Yeah. So I'd shut it off. Well, then it wouldn't restart.
Oh, no.
And I was in bumper to bumper traffic right in front of the school. And everyone is coming out and my car is not starting. And then the kids get in the car. They're burying their faces, because they're so embarrassed by me.
I mean, and I hate to say this to you, but you do go to a juju school. I mean, if you're going to have your car die, I mean, it's pretty juju there. I mean,
I ended up seeing, we don't know a soul, literally. And I just happened to know my neighbor because I just met him. And I was like, oh, Don, I'm like, can you help me? And he's like, what's going on? I mean, he I think at first was like, what is happening with this woman? But he was very kind and he charged my battery, but we had to hook it up. I kept traffic blocked for I don't even know, 15 minutes. My kids were beside themselves.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, that is the worst, even when you're their age. Like, even now, like, people don't want to feel like people are staring at them and being like, what's wrong with them? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just the back to school thing
Back to school is brutal.
Can be rough. And that was a rough start, I have to say.
And I just also feel like in general, just the pressure, you know, you want to fit in, you want to make sure that you are doing the right thing, and you have to do well in school, and you have just all this pressure. I feel like, especially in high school, I'm like, Riley, this is sophomore year. I mean, no pressure, but you know, you gotta, you gotta like do really well. Like, you know, let's hit some home runs. Like, but no pressure, no pressure.
I would say for high school and middle school, like the secret is to get involved, you know, like, and spread the net a little bit, like try and have, you know, a sport and an activity if you can. It doesn't have to be year round, but like get involved, try to be organized. And for mom and dad to like start stepping away, you know, it's not our job to make sure their days run smoothly. It's our job to pick up the pieces when they don't, you know, because I would say really growth only happens with challenges. You know, when everything's going smoothly, nobody grows. So, and life is not going to go smoothly. I mean, we all know this. So, you know, it's okay to fall down in middle school. And pick yourself up, because this is part of growing, and this is how we grow. So
totally.
Those are good tips. I found some tips to going to high school from usnews.com/education. They just gave 10 little tidbits, and I'm going to read them to you. Learn the school. So don't go to high school not knowing where like stuff is, your classrooms, the locker room, like just kind of, like walk around and figure it out. Challenge yourself, pick classes that interest you, get organized. I think that's very important. Connect with the upperclassmen. They can be like a great mentor. Stay true to your values. Connect with others through activities. Like, so join like sporting events, a play, like do things that maybe you wouldn't do. Join a special club. Build relationships with your teachers, which I think is super important, because my children, for some reason, well, not all of my children, but my older two children just don't really like to talk to their teachers that much. And I don't know where I've kind of fallen down on this, but I keep encouraging them. They still need to talk with their teachers. Super important. Prioritize your mental health and be present. Stay in the moment. It's only 4 years. So
those are good tips.
I thought that those were good, like little tidbits.
We have a really good friend that is a teacher of teachers, and she's been teaching for like 25 years. And I asked her kind of like what she thinks, and she again kind of reiterated what we talked about, like get involved in extracurriculars and ask for what you need, because teachers do want your kids to be successful. So the kids, if you can just get over that one little, like ask for help, ask for what you need, they help you. And she also said parents trying to dip in and save the kids, it's not helping them. So try to have the kids take on that responsibility. She said, I see it so much nowadays, and it's not serving the kids. And she teaches middle school. So
I think that's
just...
And I think that's good advice. And I think it's hard for parents to do that. It's hard for me to not want to, like, I feel like I'm a fixer just in my nature. I just want that's just how I'm wired. And so I have to remind myself, nope, but we can talk about it. Here are the tools, you try. And it's hard to do that.
It is. It's really hard. But listen, everybody's going to have a great year.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have a great year and something like throws you a curveball, it's all going to work out. And you just, I think, have to stay present in your kids' lives and notice behavioral changes so that you can ask the question. You use your guidance, centers, and ask for help as a parent if you need it. But it's going to be a great year. I think it's exciting.
Yes. Here we come, ready or not.
And we're going to do it. It's going to be great. It's going to
another year.
Another year. Good luck. Good luck to everybody, to whatever school or age you're heading to. Okay, ladies, what is for dinner?
So we're doing deconstructed chicken parm. I don't bread it. It's sort of like a healthier version. I do put a little bit of like Greek yogurt on top to have all the seasoning stick to it. But
I can tell you that we are having one pot chicken orzo. So I don't know if you guys know this website, Damn Delicious, but I like her too. And she has a recipe, one pot Cajun chicken with orzo, and I will post it in the notes.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
And it's hot here, so I'm trying not to heat up the kitchen. So it's just like a one pot on the stovetop. So that's what we're having for dinner.
So I am solo tonight. One of my children is at the shore. My other one went to college. And then my third one is playing golf.
That sounds lovely. Popcorn.
Or cereal.
Nothing fancy.
Okay.
Well, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast and letting us sisters jump into your day. Please make sure to follow, rate, and review us. We want your feedback. So for those who are not in school, enjoy your last couple weeks. For those who have started school, good luck to everybody. We hope you all have a great year. Sisters out.